Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 2018 Nova Scotia Women's Provincial Championships for curling, the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Here at the Dartmouth Curling Club, we run all the way through to the 14th with the finals to determine who the women's team that's going to represent Nova Scotia at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts at the end of this month, January 27th to February 4th in Pennington, British Columbia. We're just getting started here. Team Brothers versus Team Jones. Draw 3 of the Scotties. These teams, I believe, each had 2 games yesterday. My name is Selena Thompson. I'm joined by Amy Muir. Thanks for coming out today.
Oh, no problem. I'm excited to be here and learn a little bit more about what this tournament entails.
Awesome. Well, get us started just letting everyone know that Team Brothers is throwing the yellow stones, and that was Jen Brine that just threw the first stone there, lead for Team Brothers. And why don't you give us the rest of the lineup there for Team Brothers?
So, as Selena said, the lead is Jen Brine. Second is Sarah Murphy. Third, Erin Carmody. Am I saying that right?
Carmody, yeah.
Carmody, sorry. And the skip, the fourth is Jill Brothers.
This team curls out of the Mayflower Curling Club, and they actually have a 5th person on the team. She's not out there today because you can only take 4 out, but Bliss Joyce is very much a part of this team, and they kind of joke, a couple of them in their player bios, that they keep having babies. They're the team with all the babies, so if you ever come out to the club and you see a couple kids in the audience, they're most likely cheering on Team Brothers. I think there's 4 now, kiddos. Sarah and Jill each have 1, and Bliss just actually had her second little baby boy, Freddie. He's 3 months old, and Oscar's 2, big brother. So they rotate their lineup, and it's Bliss's turn to have the provincials off.
I think I just saw, is it little Freddie? I think I've seen him up here just recently.
He's behind us. They're going to put a curling team together with all their children.
Yeah,
the kids grow up. And then Team Jones. Not a new team to curling, and I'm sure everyone watching has heard of these guys before. Colleen Jones, one of the most famous and well-respected curlers in the game. And her lineup: lead Nancy Delahunt, second Mary Sue Radford, third Kim Kelly. And they've had a lot of success and actually have a senior world championship under their belts as well. So no shortage of experience there for the Jones team. And same thing with Brothers. National champion Jill, I say she's national champion. I got to double check. She has. She was the 2004 Canadian Junior Champion and World Silver Medalist, and also won the Nova Scotia Provincials at the junior ranks in 2001, and has been 3-time Nova Scotia Provincial Champion in the women's division.
Oh, wow. That's pretty impressive. So, Selena, what is actually going on here right now?
Well, it's good that you asked. We have a pretty clean end to start us off in the first end. At this provincials, we have 10 end games. So we're in number 1, as you see, Sarah Murphy delivering her second stone of the end. And we did have Team Brothers without hammer going into the rings on their first shot. And it's been a hitting game ever since. So that's why you don't see any rocks in the rings. Most teams, I find, keep it clean for the first end, and you won't usually see a score in the first, as teams just try and get their solid footing, calm things down. It's a long game. 10 ends takes about 2.5 hours to play, and try and get things clean. So Brothers with the yellow stones just puts another one in there, and Team Jones will be happy to hit and keep it clean. So later on in the game, we'll see a bit more. And when we're starting to talk about strategy and different types of shots, we'll have some guards involved. So guards would be stones that are in front of the rings and protecting the ones in it. Of course, you can only score with a stone that is in the rings or the house. So just clean for now. Gives us a good chance to chat a bit about the teams. And I didn't mention, but you guys are all aware, if you're watching, that you are watching on Bell 5 TV1. We thank them for their consistent support of our sport. We've got 2 games broadcast all week. Or I shouldn't say all week, because the finals are only 1 game at a time. But up until Friday, there's 2 games every draw. And so if you're following along on nscurl.com, watching your team's scores, if you happen to notice that they're playing on sheet C or D, then you'll have a broadcast that you can watch and listen to us. Or,
that's great.
Or Karen and Dan over on the other sheet.
That's great, Selena. So are all games actually played at this location?
Yes, everything's at the Dartmouth Curling Club, and we have the combined Scotties and Deloitte Tankard. So it's the men's and women's provincials, and the men are playing for a spot in the Briar, which is March 3rd to 11 in Regina, Saskatchewan.
Oh, wow. So feel free to come down and visit us down here at the Dartmouth Curling Club, 15 Canal Street, off Portland in Dartmouth. Single entry is $5, so come on down and check things out.
We've got Erin Carmody here, Team Brothers. Erin's originally from PEI, and she was the 2007, 08, and 09 PEI Junior Provincial Champion as skip. And she actually also played in the 2010 Provincial Scotties, and she won that and was runner-up at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts that year. She played for Kathy O'Rourke. Kathy skipped the team, and Erin threw 4 stones. So when you talk about experience, I think all the sheets out there, you probably have pretty loaded up with these 2 teams. So Colleen just staying down for her shots there. It's an open house, so one thing I didn't mention to you, Amy, is that the games are timed. They're 10 ends long, but an end can take anywhere from probably about 10 minutes to you name it, depending on how long the teams take. So they are on a time clock. There's 38 minutes of thinking time. You see the timer there ticking in the top right of the screen. So there's 38 minutes to think. Now, it doesn't count the time as you're throwing your stone. So as soon as Jill starts to throw and slide here, the clocks will stop.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so you have 38 minutes to call the game. And that way it doesn't penalize. Say you throw a lot of draw shots into the rings.
Sure.
Those take longer to get down to the other end. So if those were being timed, you'd actually be penalized. So a few years ago, the Canadian Curling Association, it's now Curling Canada, switched over to what we call thinking time. It used to be 75 minutes per team, and now it's 38 minutes per team, but a different type of time.
That's a good call, I'd say.
Yeah, and the teams do have 2 timeouts. So if you come to a point in a game where you're not quite sure what the call is and you want to think about things, then you call a timeout. You have 2 90-second timeouts. And sometimes you find those come into play at the end of the game. Things get very tense and the score is tight, and you just need that extra time to prepare to throw your stone. Teams will take a timeout for that as well.
Sure. How would the players rate, like, this ice surface? Like, is this actually a good club? Like, what are the conditions of the ice? Or are they the same at all clubs, kind of thing?
Yeah, they're not the same at all clubs, and they're not the same from province to province or even sheet to sheet. So there's minor differences. You start with a flat playing surface, and then there's using a tool. It's a pebbling tool. There's these tiny droplets of water kind of sprayed onto the surface, and so it's actually it's called pebbling the ice. It's a bumpy surface, reduces friction, so the rock actually slides over that. So you can have all kinds of different conditions to do with ice. We tend to struggle a bit out east. We're kind of known to have straight ice, which means that the rocks won't curl as much. So as it travels down the ice, you'll get movement left to right, and it doesn't just go straight down, and that's how you can use a guard and come around it to use as protection. So the speed has been really good. I've done a few games between yesterday and today. It's nice speed, so that's when you kick out of the hack. It's good for a touch game. You can make little adjustments and really make some interesting shots with good speed. It's been a little bit straighter than I think some of the players would like, but I've
Right.
noticed today, I heard they touched up the rocks last night. So there's different things you can do to affect the amount of curl and the speed, and touched up the bottoms of the rocks to make them a little grittier and grab the ice a bit more, which will in
Wow.
turn make them curl more.
It seems pretty complex.
It's a loaded question, yeah. And you get the people that are never happy with the ice no matter what, so you just try to deal with it. But the speed's been really, really nice.
Oh, good.
So come down to Skips Rocks. I mentioned in the lineup that Kim Kelly's the third for this team, but I think the reason is I think it's the same as earlier in the year, is Colleen's always skipped and thrown fourth for this team, but she also happens to be a likely candidate to be reporting at the Olympics in South Korea
Wow.
next month. Longtime CBC reporter, and I think she did weather and sports and has a lot of personal interest stories lately, and so she's going to be going to the Olympics very likely, if not for sure. So Kim's been throwing last rocks for the team,
Right.
and Nancy Delahunt holds the broom. So it's a very different lineup than what you would typically see, which is the skip holds the broom, throws fourth shots. In this case, she's still the skip of the team because
Right.
that's their lineup, but in this case she throws third, and Nancy's the one that holds the broom.
Gotcha.
And Kim's down there now for Nancy's shots. So if we weren't confused already, then it just made things worse. So again, Team Brothers coming in. We had a blank in the first end. We weren't elaborating too much, but it was a very open end. As we're looking at the other sheets, they're all still playing the first end, and there are more rocks in play. So ours was a little faster.
Who actually is the one that does the screaming? Like, what position does it? Or does the
It's-
whole team?
it
Well, maybe
really-
not screaming, sorry.
Yeah, no,
What's
it's the
term?
yelling. It's the sweeping call.
Okay.
That's a much, it is screaming. And we just heard on the sheet beside us there was a run back being called. And the line of the rock can be very important. And so
Oh,
the
for
person
sure.
in the house that's calling the shot, they have the best gauge on what's happening.
Right.
Because they are standing consistently in the house watching things. You see Jill just knelt down. She's watching
Right.
the line of this hit come from Jen Bryan. So it's usually the person in the house, and oftentimes the person calling will chime in. You tend to get louder the further down the lineup you are. So
Right.
maybe a mate will yell for their sweep call a little louder than the lead will. The front end typically will defer to the skip for those kinds of things, but the mate
Right.
or the third is involved in decision making along with the skip, especially on skip stones, and so has to have a really good read on the ice as well. So they usually have a good idea. So in this case, this rock's not curling quite enough, and they're just trying to get that extra bit of curl with the directional sweeping that some of you may have heard about. We'll get into that later. So hit and stay. So again, another open end being played, and that was Brothers coming in on the first one, and Team Jones saying, no, we're just going to hit. And that really lends to Team Jones' style of play. They've always been known as a defensive team. Maybe they don't score a ton of points, but they don't let the other teams score against them either. So the hit and stay. The further out to the wings you get, Amy, you tend to see a little bit of the ice straightened up. So
Right.
sometimes you'll get rollouts on those shots. So a good job from Sarah Murphy to stick around. We've got Mary Sue Radford up.
So Mary Sue has curled since the age of 13 in Oakville, Ontario. She was the CFO at Dalhousie Department of Medicine. Is she doing that now?
She still
or
is,
She
yeah.
is still doing that. Wow, that's impressive, and still has time to curl. Wow.
And
Yeah.
get married.
Oh, all in.
She got
Wow.
married last year.
Oh, wow. Congrats. So her titles include Junior Provincials, Canada Games Silver, Mixed Provincial, the Women's World Champion in 2005 as the fifth player, and 2016 Canadian Senior Champion and 2017 World Senior Champion, also Provincial Champion in 2015, and National Runner-Up in 2015. And that is a mouthful, so you can imagine those accomplishments, which is great. As well, Mary Sue has 2 awesome adult children. Is it Katerina?
Yep.
Katerina and Nicholas, and her new husband, Terry, which they married in August 2017. So she's a very busy lady with lots of accomplishments.
Fits on well on this team.
Oh, for sure.
And I bet Katerina's watching.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't know Nicholas as well, but I know Katerina tries to catch all of her mom's games. She goes to support her and watch all the time.
And so she would be able to watch through the curling championships on Bell Vibe TV1.
Absolutely. every draw broadcasts 2 games. But you can come out to the Dartmouth Curling Club and watch as well. We do have outdoor or rink seating. There's a couple of brave souls out there today. I find later on in the week, as we get closer to playoffs, we'll have more people sitting outside and watching, but you sure can come along and sit along the edge of sheet A. We're a 5-sheet rink. 4 of those are being used for this championships. And we're on sheet D, as you see the D behind Aaron throwing there.
Would it be chilly out there, Selena?
It's I don't know the exact temperature, and I probably should know this. My colleague Ron asked me this morning.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean to
I
put you on
think
the
it's like
spot.
10 degrees for the most part.
Oh, that's
maybe a little
good.
cooler. Mike Callahan might be able to chime in and let me know what the temperature out in the rink is. 0. It's a little warmer than 0. You wouldn't have people out in T-shirts. I think it's like 7, 8, 9.
Okay,
up
give
to
or
10.
take. I
don't
didn't
know.
need an exact.
It's a little chilly, but it's not too cold that you can't wear T-shirts. They're all in pretty light jackets.
Yeah.
Don't get too cold out there. Colleen has been wearing the hat lately, setting a fashion statement.
And then you don't have to worry about the hair, so that's perfect.
Exactly. So we have the corner guard and the come around attempt here.
Wow, that looked good to me. Is that a good play, or what are you thinking there, Selena?
Yeah, it turned out really well. It's shot stone. So the important thing, what we can't see in the screen here is there is a guard. So where that blue stone is, in front of that is a guard. Erin might be able to see a little bit of it. She gets ready to throw. It looks like Jill's made the call to hit that. Jones has a chance for 2 if things can stick this way. If you have last rock, you'd like to get 2 points. So the reason we saw a blank in the last end was because Brothers wanted 2. They didn't have a good chance to get 2, so they took none instead and preserved last rock advantage. Sweepers are working hard to get this one by the guard, though. And that'll wreck.
What does
But
that'll wreck mean?
So it wrecked on the front, so the guard that was out there just got chipped by the yellow stone that was coming down.
Right.
So you can see that the blue got pushed over to the right-hand side. The yellow actually spun into the rings. So for Team Jones, yellow is shot, so Team Jones throwing blue. They're actually going to hit that and try and stay right in front and sit. I say sit 2, which means if the score were taken at that point, blue would get 2.
Right.
We're
Gotcha.
not at the end of the end, so they only sit 2. They're waiting for this to curl. They need it to curl in order to not roll out, so that's really well done.
Was that considered a curl?
It did curl, yeah.
A little bit, eh?
Yeah. Hits will curl less than draws. So a draw, if you're aiming at the center line, a draw will curl likely over to the edge of the 8-foot, which is the white circles. And I
Right.
was mentioning this morning, I had a good laugh. I said, curlers are pretty, there's the people out watching.
Yeah. See,
Well, that
they're
looks like my friend Kevin.
Oh, wow. Kevin came out to check things out. And you can as well. We're here in Dartmouth, down at the Curling Club on 15 Canal Street. Come out and visit us and check out these awesome games that are in play right now.
So the nice hit there from Colleen. Jill has a double. Oh, and I was going back. I was trying to remember what I was talking about. It's the rings. And I was laughing this morning. I said, curlers are really literal. The rings are 12 feet in diameter. So
Okay.
from edge to edge at any point, it's 12 feet. So we call the blue ring the 12-foot. And we call the white ring the 8-foot. Can you guess how wide?
I got it.
The 8-foot. And the yellow, or the red is the 4-foot. So we just call them by what they are. And if you throw a rock that will make it to the back line, it's called back line weight. If it makes it to the boards, it's called board weight. We're very literal people. And now we've got Jill. She was trying the double, jammed on the back, but got the blue out. I think she was actually playing the double, which she was trying to hit the first blue and then ricochet off to the second blue. Didn't make that, so a chance to sit 2 again as Kim Kelly goes down to throw. They're just changing the turn. You can throw, there's 2 turns in curling. You can make it curl from left to right or from right to left, and they are called in turns and out turns.
Wow, that's impressive.
Respectively, left to right is an in turn because the right-hander's palm faces in.
Gotcha.
And when you're throwing an out turn like Kim is right now, as she's throwing, her palm faces out. Again, with the literal
those literal
terminology.
Curlers.
Yeah. A hit and roll is just that. You hit it and you roll over. So trying to get more curl out of this. Don't want to roll this one too far. Turns out really well to roll that tiny little bit. Jill does have the ability to hit this top blue one. There's no easy double to remove both blue stones, and Jill only has 1 stone remaining. Each team, we're down to last rocks here. So Jill will throw this, and then Kim will have 1 more and hopefully get her 2 points. And Jill's going to do her very best here to hit the top blue and roll in front of the other blue, which would mean that it will be hard for Team Jones to score the 2 points. You're always trying to make a shot for yourself and kind of screw the other team over is the way I refer to it.
For sure. Well, let's see how this rolls out here.
So they're sweeping this one hard. Keep it straight. Looking for that little roll. Doesn't get it all the way, so that over curled a little bit. Hit the top blue thick enough that the yellow couldn't roll in front of the other blue. So Kim has a shot here for 2. So she can hit this yellow on the nose, or maybe a little bit on the high side or the broom side. And the shooter, she has to score with the shooter. So the shooter will hit the yellow and maybe roll over to the side. And that'll be the 2 points that are scored.
Well, that would be great. Let's see how this pans out here.
To last stone, second end, Kim Kelly. Looks good. They're just easing it in, not brushing too hard. And that's made perfectly. So that'll be a score of 2 for Team Jones in the second end. They'll take a 2-0 lead over Jill Brothers. And in case you are just joining us, the back end, we are at the 2018 Scotties Tournament of Hearts, the Nova Scotia Provincial Women's Curling Championships here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. Team Brothers, Team Jones, both former provincial and national, and in some cases world champs in their own right. And we've got, you can see the leaderboard in the back there with the men's and the women's teams, and lots of fans out viewing. It's nice to see this many people out on a Wednesday afternoon.
I was thinking the exact same thing when I came in. I was like, wow, this is good to see so many people out here supporting such an awesome event.
So Nancy Delahunt will start us off. Of course, something you may not know about curling is when the team has last rock and they score, or if they score at any time, the other team then gets last rock advantage in the next end. So Jones scoring the 2, now Brothers has last rock. So the order is switched up only in that Jones goes first and Brothers throws last.
Well, thanks for clarifying that, Selena. I'm a little bit lost here. New to curling and just trying to get the lay of the land. So it's great that you're
Say
specifying.
okay.
Yeah, That's awesome.
Team of 4, and then you got to try and score more points than your opponents.
Yeah,
Everything else is in the details. You're doing an awesome job.
Seems like there's a lot of details, though. I don't know.
There are in any sport. Like,
Yeah,
you're much
true.
more familiar with lacrosse, I know,
Right.
as your son plays.
Yes.
So I bet there's lots of stuff that I don't know about lacrosse.
True.
And what different shots mean and different strategies. It's very different when you have something like lacrosse or even hockey and football where your goal is to put a puck or a ball in a net.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's more team plays and things like that, I know. And with curling, it's much more shot-based. You only have the 4 players per team. And some people say it's like chess on ice. It's very much strategy, and both in terms of how you play the entire game and then on a shot-by-shot basis in an individual end as well.
Right.
And then there's the execution part of things to just mess it all up. So you can have the best strategy in the world, but if you miss all your shots, you're never going to win. And if you make all your shots, but they were terrible calls, then you're still never going to win.
True that.
So you have to have a little bit of both.
I think I was comparing curling a bit to shuffleboard over the holidays. Our family was doing a little shuffleboard tourney. My mom's a curler, so we thought she'd be awesome at shuffleboard, but unfortunately she wasn't.
No?
No,
it's the
younger
execution
boys,
got her.
Yeah, for sure. The boys definitely were better than her, but...
Well, that's what you often see, and when a lot of people are so impressed with this Jones team is you do find that the younger teams, they just have that ability. Sometimes the execution is there, and this Jones team, they've kept up with their younger counterparts. They all have adult kids. I think they all have 2 children, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, they all have grown kids, it seems. Nancy with 2 kids, Jane 25 and Kevin 23, and her husband David. Also, Kim is a mom of 2 grown kids too, 26 and 22. I think I did mention Mary Sue, her 2 kids, as well as Colleen has Zach and Luke.
And a new daughter-in-law,
And a new daughter-in-law.
Krista. Saw some good weddings in 2017 for the Jones team.
Yeah, babies and...
Babies for Team Brothers.
Yeah. And weddings for
and
Team Jones.
new kids-in-law for Team
Yeah.
Jones. So this is a little bit more eventful this end. We did see Team Jones. I can't even remember if it went in or went tight on the first, but there is a guard and there is a shot stone. Blue is shot stone in the 4-foot. I think the guard went up first, and then Brothers went around. So we've had a series of come-arounds here. With that stone just being a little heavy from Mary Sue, it does leave a pocket in the 4-foot for Team Brothers. I think at some point you're going to see Jill peel that center guard, but for now she's going to take advantage of a slight miss and try and get this a yellow stone into the 4-foot area. So she can try and get it close to the button.
Do all of them have one slippy shoe?
Yes. That's the slider. So one of your, with curling shoes, one foot has, often it's a Teflon, sometimes a metal slider of varying thickness.
But does it depend on position, or does everyone have one?
No, everyone has one, because
Oh.
when you slide out of the hack, now just watch this one of
Oh,
Sarah's
sorry.
here. She just got that out, or maybe they were playing the double. If they were, then that's an excellent shot.
Wow.
I think that was the call, actually. They were looking at playing in, but the double was also there, and I think they elected to do that. Yeah, so the slider is, so when you're throwing your rock, you need to be sliding on your one foot, and the other foot, I'm realizing how literal curling is as I'm saying we have a slider, and the other one is a gripper. They're actually just ER on the end of what they do. They slide and they grip.
That's good.
So you see the sweepers. They and you have a gripper that you can put over your slider as well. So they're both walking as if they're just walking normally with their 2 gripper feet.
Sure.
But when you do, some people sweep with a slider foot. I think Jill keeps her slider on the whole time. So you see her kind of whipping around the back there.
Yeah, it's
Her
just whatever
slider.
you're comfortable with? Or?
It is whatever you're
Yeah.
comfortable with, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about this, if this sport would be for me. I think balance would be a bit of an issue. But
Oh, practice makes perfect.
That is true.
And we all
Very
fall.
True.
We all fall down. Sometimes you get caught on a rock. Sometimes you hit a slick spot in the ice and your gripper
Sure.
doesn't stick.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just trip over your own broom or a player. There's all kinds of the hazards of the game are
Yeah,
not unheard of. I know it's a little bit slower pace than some other sports, but hey, last year's world champion got a bad concussion a couple years ago because he slipped and fell. So
Really?
we're just as risky as the hockey. No. So shot there, just again going a little deep for Team Jones with the blue stone in the back, and then again Sarah Murphy a little deep, so it does leave that pocket in that 4-foot area. So as the rock comes in, you can see it's a little more advantageous for a team to have a rock at the front of the house versus the back. At the back, it really provides backing for the other team. So Team Jones here, I think it's Colleen's first. So she's going to throw a draw in there to try and get into that 4-foot. I help with the Learn to Curls at my club, which is Mayflower. Both of these teams curl out of the Mayflower. And we have people of all ages that did the Learn to Curl in the fall session. And one of them was back out on Sunday with me for a skills
Oh, wow, that's great.
event. And they've joined, there's a development league, and there's all kinds of options. There's different leagues you can play. There's stick curling. If you can't get down into the slide, you can throw. It's a device that will help you with your throw. You walk with the rock, and
that's
it's almost
awesome.
like a broom. And you have a little hook on the end of the broom that attaches onto the handle, and you throw the rock that way.
Oh,
There's
that's
wheelchair
great.
curling. There's blind curling.
That would
There's all
actually,
kinds. It's very accessible.
The one with a stick would be similar to like shuffleboard standing up. I think they play that a
it's
lot
very
in
much like that.
the States. The older, I don't know, older people love that one, I think.
It usually is when the knees fail. As
Yeah.
the older you get, your knees start to fail. It becomes a little harder to slide
Oh, that makes
and
sense.
keep up. So we've just had a series of rocks be a little bit too heavy in this path here. Team Brothers is trying desperately to get this one into good position. They make it to the top 8-foot. They're sitting 1, but you see that blue stone on the side, just in the back 8-foot beside the 4-foot. It's pretty vulnerable.
Yeah.
If that blue were to be gone, yellow would score 4. So not a great position for Team Jones to be in. They are up 2, but you don't want to give up a lot of points here. I think that stone that was just thrown is kind of hurting Team Jones. It's in a good position that it could be promoted from Team Brothers
Right.
to score a couple if need be. And the only good thing about it is it's sort of protecting the blue stone at the back, but not really. So we'll just have a little discussion here. I don't think they're going to call a timeout just yet.
So this is counting as time.
Yep, this is
like,
thinking time.
It's a good time to think because there's a lot going on there. Well, in my opinion.
Definitely. So you could make a play on the top yellow, the one that was just thrown, and try and keep the shooter. So for Team Jones, blue rocks are the friendly rocks, and you want to have them in good positions. There's just not a lot of good options for them due to the fact that the 4-foot is really closed off. There's a guard out front, which we can't see in the screen. You may be able to see the shadow actually at the top. There it is. Thank you. I think Sean's on our camera today. It's either Sean or Chuck, probably Sean. So there's that blue stone out front, and then the 2 yellows in the top 12-foot are kind of blocking that 4-foot area. But for the team without hammer, that's Team Jones, they don't really want to move too much in that situation anyway, either. So I don't know what they decided on. Might be able to hear them. We do have mics out in the ice shed, but it's hard to hear sometimes if they're not under the mic. This almost looks like a guard. I think they're coming in to, I think they were probably trying to come around to the blue. But what happens with this one, it does touch the yellow, but it does guard the blue stone that is at the back.
Right.
It leaves Jill a double to call for Aaron. I think what Jones was trying to do there was actually try and come around into the 4-foot. It wasn't a lot of ice. It's been fairly straight, and that one just over curled and didn't make it by. But I think now Aaron can, as you see Jill indicating, run the blue back onto the other blue, and both of them will be gone, and you'll have 3 yellows out front.
Wow.
So this is a big shot.
No pressure.
Never. Aaron Carmody. Now I watched this in the last game go pretty straight, and that's exactly what's happening here. This could be real bad. And it is, so instead of yellow sitting a couple, I think someone just accidentally kicked a stone.
Oh dear, what happens in that case?
In that case, the non-offending team puts it back where they think it would have gone.
Really?
That's exactly how it happens.
Wow,
There's no penalties.
It's like there's no other official judgment or something? Like,
if there's a discrepancy, if the two argue, then an official might come in. But the official probably didn't see what happened. And
true.
It really does come down to just honest. If it happened against you, you would want to be able to put the stone back. So the team who, it's usually just an accident. You hit something with your broom or you kick it as you're walking by and didn't realize the stone was there.
That seems like something I would do.
Yeah, you just put it back where you think it was, and the non-offending team gets the final say. So if you don't think that it was put back in the right place, then you can move it. And the offending team doesn't really have much they can say about it unless it was, blatantly obvious. You wouldn't want to see someone kick a stone that was in the rings and then move it to be out.
That's, for sure.
Yeah. So, but it's an ethical game.
Most definitely.
Where sportsmanship is key. They shake hands before and after every game, and at least out here, winner buys drinks. So it might be a good game to get into if you're going to plan on losing.
Yeah, that's true.
So big change there. Aaron's rock ran wide, actually ran the blue Jones stone into the pile at the back. Instead of yellow sitting 4 or even more, blue sits 1 or 2 actually.
So was that a good throw? Or
so Colleen was just trying to, or Kim was just trying to guard there. It over curled. She was trying to protect the 4-foot, and you can just see the stone that she just threw, which is the closest to us.
Right.
They would have liked that over to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
Jill can draw in here into the 4-foot and still maybe get 2 points. So a little bit of a miss, the right weight, but it just curled more than they thought. And maybe teams are getting a bit fooled too. It was a bit straighter yesterday. I mentioned the rocks were touched up. And so we're getting a little bit more curl today. And if they're judging where to put the broom based on what was happening yesterday, then you'll have some misses that way. So this is Jill's first shot in the third end, down 2. Looking to draw. Team Jones currently sits 2. They're going for line on this one early. So sweeping keeps the rock straight.
And get you a good workout in.
And gets you a good workout. And that one just over curled. So that's more of the same, that same spot. Over curling. Rex on the guard, which means that yellow stone is not going to make it into the rings. So Kim will throw the same guard. I think they're just adjusting the broom, moving it out a bit in order to have the right line for the guard. Nancy's kind of indicating like they're trying to come in and that they can't get by the front guard. I don't think they need to draw. It's a force, a.k.a. a good end for Team Jones if they can force Jill to take a single. So they're changing up the turn here. I think Nancy's just a little worried about playing around with that yellow stone.
For sure.
Kim did just throw the other turn, so guess she could do a good job at it again, but they've switched up the broom, playing the other turn. I don't think they're going to bring this one into the rings. They're going to force Jill to draw on the other side of the sheet. So Kim's guarding the left-hand side, and Jill's going to have to draw to the right.
I saw Jones there checking her timer. Is it she's setting the timer or just checking how much time they have?
No, it's nothing to do with the timers. Those are actually just stopwatches.
Oh, okay.
So curlers use a variety of ways to learn about the rocks and the ice and what's happening in the game. Because the ice will be a little bit different. I mentioned club to club, sheet to sheet within a club.
For sure.
And game to game, even on the same sheet, things will be a little different. So what they do is they'll time the rocks from different points. So you can get a feel for how quick the ice is. So starting from when the rock crosses the back line, where the thrower is, to the hog line, which is the thick line.
Thick blue one there?
Yeah, the thick blue one. Can't see it in the screen, but it is a nice thick blue line. And you take that split, and that'll translate to where a rock might end up.
Okay.
Because the ice is fairly consistent, and if you throw a 3.8 second backline to hog time, we know that that's going to be probably in the rings.
Seems pretty technical.
It is technical. And you can take the split that way. Some people time it from the tee line to the hog line, so it depends on what you're comfortable with. Colleen was just doing there. She was going back line to hog, which is what most sweepers do. It gives them, you take the visual measurement, of course, of how fast the rock is going. Nothing is better than your own eyes.
Right.
The stopwatch is really just a check to say,
sure.
okay, is this the same as before? Does this confirm what I thought?
Right.
And you'll have the skip at the other end, the person holding the broom often will be timing from hog to hog. So that's a more consistent measure between teams. So where Jill just crossed the hog line there to when her stone crosses the far hog line at the house end. And she's drawing for a single point here. This one's over curling though. They got to get this by the guards. So they would stop the watch now to see what the time looks like. And she's just light on that. It'll wreck on the front. That's a big change in this end. That's a steal of 2 points for Team Jones. So now large lead, 4-0. After it really looked like it was going all brothers.
Yeah, for sure.
One big miss, and that happened in the earlier game too. Tracking, that was on Aaron Carmody's shot. Unfortunately, set up for that steal of 2. So after all that talk of times, sorry, I just
no, go ahead.
I got a little distracted, and then that big shot happened, and I didn't make a big fuss about it. But yeah, 4-0 lead. So Jones definitely in control of this game after 3 ends. 7 more to go, though. It's a long game. You have to be patient.
It does seem like a long game.
It is. Most of these teams would have played 8 ends in their Bonspiels. It's really the 10 ends is reserved for the provincial, national. Olympics are 10 ends.
Okay.
There is some talk of going to a shorter game, to an 8-end game. I don't think any firm decisions made. And I just have a comment. Someone has chimed in. Donalda Maddie, so Donalda's watching. And she just chimed in. She was, said, oh, I hear you talking about how knees can affect how people curl. And Donalda hasn't been curling as much, but she discovered a bionic knee brace.
Wow.
She hasn't been playing much for 4 years, and now she's playing with, she says, no pain, no ice, no meds.
Wow, that's
so it's a pretty good sales pitch, Donalda.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants, they can reach out. I'll get you in touch with her. Bionic knee brace. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow, modern medicine, right? And I'm sure that she's watching from Bell Vibe TV1.
She is.
You can tune in there or come down and visit us at the Dartmouth Curling Club on 15 Canal Street. Single entry only $5, and the whole event passes you can get for $30. So come on down, check it out. There's some good entertainment going on down here.
So strategy changes a little bit. Up 2 points is one thing. Up 4 points is a whole other here for Team Jones. They really like to keep things clean. So They weren't happy with the fact that Nancy's first stone was short of the rings. There is a rule called the free guard zone where you cannot remove your opponent's stone from play if it is in the guard zone, which is in front. It's the white in front of the rings.
Right.
You can't remove your opponent's stone from play within the first 4 stones. You can certainly remove your own stone, which is what Nancy just did.
Right.
So now a second corner guard going up from Jen Brine.
Jen is 19 years old. She's curled
19.
Or 29, 19. Wouldn't that be? Well, if she's curled for 22 years, that wouldn't really make sense. So sorry about that. She's a Learning Center teacher at the HRSB. She's also been the provincial champion in 2016 and the 2006 provincial junior champion. So she has a lot of accomplishments there. And in 2017, she helicoptered into and hiked out of the Grand Canyon. So that's an additional accomplishment that is pretty impressive.
That would have been pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. She seems to be a bit of a travel buff. Yeah. She plans on heading to LA in March as well. So a busy girl.
I want to go too.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe you can tag along on that trip, Selena.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just go in the luggage. No problem. So we had the 2 corner guards go up for Team Brothers and a peel made from Mary Sue Radford. So I think another corner guard going up here, Sarah Murphy. Team Brothers needs points, and you don't necessarily achieve points by putting your stones in the rings right off the bat. You get these chances to put up some guards. So you leave them in front of the rings, hanging around, and the other team will hit them as this one comes a little deep. It actually is in the rings. It's half on the 12-foot. If that were at the end of an end, that would count as a point. Anything touching the rings counts as long as it's closer than the opponent's. So that one coming in, often you'll see the team peel whichever guard they think is better, but in this case, Mary Sue can hit this stone, and she can roll her shooter. She can leave her shooter in the rings. They may also just elect to peel this right out. They don't really need any rocks hanging around. You see.
What do you mean, peel it out, did you say?
Peel it out, yeah.
Oh.
So that's throwing lots of weight and
Right.
making sure that you remove the other stone. She's got to get a piece of it. There you go. And the shooter will roll out. So that's no problem.
Why didn't the blue one stay in? It was.
So she didn't hit enough of the stone. So if you,
gotcha.
if you can imagine that the rocks are circular, if you hit them on nose to nose, so on the thickest part.
Right.
Well, there's no thicker part. You're always going to hit the same amount, but on a part where you're not hitting it to roll off with the momentum of the thrown rock.
Gotcha.
So the closest to the tip, the very most forward-facing part of the stone is where you want to hit it to stick around. Mary Sue hit we call about a quarter of the rock. So if the rocks were overlapping, how much would overlap? Quarter to a third, and her shooter rolled away as a result. And these are pretty lively rocks, so when they do make contact, you'll see it's almost, we call it like spring action. They don't actually bounce, but there is a lot of action. So the hit rock will exit the rings, and the thrown rock oftentimes will spin off as well. So here's another hit. This one's curling more than the last. It's actually over curling. They're going to nose that guard. So that's a miss there. If you're trying to hit a guard and not leave your shooter out there. I know the shooter's blue and it's the Team Jones color, but it's a guard, and you know that Team Brothers needs those in order to score. So with 2 guards in play now, Aaron's going to try and come around the yellow Brothers stone. Supers aren't touching this one, which makes me think it's a little bit heavy. And it clears the guard by a fair amount. And so the opponents, this is a fun rule, that your opponent can sweep your stone once it's past the tee line, which is the middle of the house.
Right.
So you saw Nancy Delahunt there sweeping the yellow stone just through the ring. So just a little bit heavy there from Erin.
Have we mentioned as well, Nancy actually has been curling since she's been 13. So that's, she says, 46 years. So you do the math. She loves to curl. She plays golf, tennis, and she travels as well. She actually has quite a list of accomplishments. 5-time Ennis provincial champion, 5-time Scotties Canadian champion, 2-time world champion, 2016 Canadian senior champ, and 2017 world senior champ. She played in Canada Cup once and Continental Cup twice. So that is quite the list of accomplishments for sure.
And those are the highlights. Like
for sure.
For this team, it's a little crazy. Colleen's played in 21 National Tournament of Hearts. So what you may not know about the National is if you win in the 1 year, you go back as Team Canada the next year. So the reason that Nancy has only won only five provincial championships is because between 99 and 04, she didn't have to play out of the province. They just kept winning the Canadians.
I got it. How that makes sense.
Between I think it was between 01 and 04. Yeah,
close enough. Give or take a couple years.
They didn't win in 2000.
Wow, that is pretty impressive. So the East Coast rocks some of these championships, eh?
Yeah, this is one of the teams to put Nova Scotia on the map for curling. Now they're doing it at the senior level.
Yes. Good for them.
Actually, it was really interesting last year. Team Brothers was in the final last year against Mary Manital. So Mary's not in the field at provincials this year, but Mary Manital's team was another team that was a senior eligible team that also played in the women's division. So you don't it doesn't exclude you from playing the. If you're not senior age, obviously you can't play in the seniors, but if you are, you can play in both. So Team Mary Manital, they were actually the first team in Nova Scotia history to win both in the same year. They won the women's, and then they went on and won the seniors.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. That's a busy year of curling, I'd think.
Yeah, and most people don't even have one provincial title. And she just, well, that wouldn't be Mary's first, but she nailed off two in 1 year.
Yeah, impressive.
So Kim's willing this one to curl, and now it's curling. Maybe a little too much, got to the nose. Well, that's okay.
That looked pretty good, didn't it?
Yep, it was a good shot. Jill's going to have to try and make use of that remaining corner guard. And there was some discussion earlier from the Jones team. There were 2 guards left, the blue one that's theirs and the yellow out front. They were going to peel the blue and elected to go for the yellow that seemed to be a better stone for Team Brothers to come around. So you try and eliminate the better guard that you think your opponents want to use. So Jill's going to try and hit the blue stone in the top 12 and try and roll behind that corner guard. It's tight to the rings. It's not an easy shot. She doesn't have a long way she can roll. She'll have a pretty good chance at it here. Jill makes a lot of hits. She throws the up weight really nicely. Waiting to see if they can get that flop over. And a little roll, maybe tucks a piece under the blue. It's pretty close to perfect.
So that was Jill there, age 34. She's actually curled for 25 years. She's a hairstylist, and she also has a list of accomplishments: the 2001, 2004 Nova Scotia Junior Provincial Champion, 2004 Canadian Junior Champion, and World Silver Medalist. She also was the NS Provincial Champion in 2007, 14, and 2016, and skip in 07 and 16. Third for Heather Smith in 2014. She also curls at the Mayflower and Chester curling clubs.
I feel like I have that piece of info left in there from before. I don't know if Jill still does that, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway.
Well,
She curls in Chester. Great.
She can correct
From
us
Liverpool
if not.
originally.
Oh, wow, really?
Yep. Got some good South Shore curlers.
Oh, for sure. Who actually keeps the score down at the end? Like, who puts the numbers on?
Players do. It's all, so the officiating in curling is much less intense than in many other sports. So there are likely, I think, 3 or 4 officials out on the ice during the game. You can see them on can't see them now, but they're on the sides. They've got their NSCA, Nova Scotia Curling Association, official jackets on. So they're there to monitor the play to make sure things don't get out of hand. Nothing really ever gets out of hand in curling. It really is a polite team sport where you do your best at your own throws and then you get off, let the other team have control of the ice. So the umpires are just watching to make sure. And Kim did make the hit there, so Jill's just blanking this end, so they'll retain hammer. So we'll just give everyone the update there that Team Brothers blanks, still down 4-0 with hammer, playing 5. So to get back to the officials,
yes,
they're watching and monitoring. You're not allowed to hold on to the rock after the hog line. You have to release. So they're going to watch things like that. If there's any issues, if there's a measure that's needed, maybe to tell. Sometimes it can be very difficult to tell which stone is closer, so they'll bring the measure out.
Right.
They're there to make sure everything is going smoothly. They, if you have a timeout, you have to let the official know, so your time will stop being counted and those kinds of things. But it's very much directed by the players for the rest of it. So there's an agreed to set of rules, and everyone follows it.
Sure.
The thirds are responsible to put the score up. And I'm a terrible person when I play third because I never remember to put the score up.
That sounds like it was something I would do too.
But we do have live scoring, so there are people here that are keeping track of the scores on all the sheets, and those are updated at nscurl.com. I'll give you guys a quick update just as we're getting started in the 5th end, getting near the halfway point of the game. McAvoy and Julie McAvoy is playing Colleen Pinckney. McAvoy is up 3-1 after 3 ends and has hammer in 4. And then we've got Marianne Arsenault, who was if you're talking about the Colleen Jones team that won in the early 2000s, Marianne Arsenault was a huge part of that. Second stones. She now skips, and she's playing Teresa Breen, former Ontario champion. Arsenault's up 3-1. And then you've got Krista McDermott playing against Isabelle Ladouceur, the first junior team in Nova Scotia history to qualify for the Scotties.
Wow.
And that junior team, they're only 18 years old, so this is amazing experience for them.
I was going to ask you that, Selena. When I came in, I was like, wow, there seems to be some younger girls playing here. So that's
I say
awesome.
18. I think a couple of them are even younger. Got one of the dads, Kate Callahan's dad, Mike, up here. And she 15, 16? She's the oldest. Oh. Wow. So they're, very young team. And it's pretty special for them to qualify. They played in the junior provincials just over a week ago, and now they're here at the Scotties. And they're holding their own. They're up 4-1 over Krista McDermott.
Where would the junior provincials have been? Do you know, Selena?
Yeah, they were at the Lakeshore Curling Club, which is in Lower Sackville.
Oh, wow.
And we had Bell Vibe TV1 broadcasting that event as well. We're really happy to have them partnered with the Nova Scotia Curling Association. So, back to our game. Feature sheet. Brothers versus Jones. Jones up 4-0. You had Jones go into the rings on the first 2 stones from Nancy Delahunt, and now the second corner guard being put up from Jem Bryan. So it looks fairly similar to the last end, except there's blue stones in the rings, whereas there weren't any in the rings last end.
And this is the 5th end, right, Selena?
This is the 5th end. Yep, we're playing 5.
And 10 in total.
10 total. Get ready for that bathroom break.
Yeah.
5th end. So the peel is the call here. Team Jones doesn't want any stones. Almost made the double peel there. Wow. what I'm watching, I realized I probably gave that away before it happened.
Yeah.
We're like a second delayed on the screen here, so anyway, sorry for that spoiler. She didn't make the double peel, single peel. That's fine. Team Brothers will continue to put up guards. Really good chance. They just need to score a couple points. They're not out of the game. We're only playing the 5th end, and it's again, I mentioned it's a long and patient game. And you will get your opportunity to score a couple.
And so you do still have time to come down and catch this game down here on Canal Street in Dartmouth. There's still another 5 ends to go, so come on down, check it out, and yeah, come say hi.
Yeah, and we have more draws. Of course, the C&D will be broadcast, Sheet C&D, live. And if you'd like to come watch anyone on any of the sheets, we've got a men's draw at 4 and another women's draw tonight at 8. As we see another peel coming down here from Mary Sue Radford. She doesn't make any mistake with those, does she?
No, looking pretty good.
It gets tough. It can be difficult to be the team that's down in points because the other team's making these upweight hits and doesn't have to worry too much. They're basically waiting for you to make a move. So Team Brothers is going to have to put together a couple good shots here, but certainly a chance for multiple points this end. Sarah Murphy's now they're switching. They're coming around the corner guard. They're not going to put up the second corner guard any longer. The line's looking good. Now they're going to finish it for weight. They want to make sure it's there. Got to be in the rings. And it looks like that one will get nicely buried. That's a good shot.
That's a good shot, yeah.
There, you're picking up on it.
Yeah, it looked good to me. Good. I don't know. Let me know that when I say, oh, that was a good shot, and you're like, oh, no, it wasn't.
I will let you know.
Feel free to correct me.
Oh, it's interesting because sometimes things can look like a really good shot. So say, if Colleen had one last time where she nosed a peel. And it looks great because she removed the yellow stone.
Right.
And in this case as well, she removed the yellow stone, but her shooter stayed out front. And so that's only, we call it a half shot in this case. It would be a total miss if she had nosed it and left the guard guarding the Yellowstone.
Right.
But it is still a guard that Jill can use. So
yeah.
I think you're going to see her now play something at that situation in the middle, try and free up the 4-foot to score.
Right.
And maybe she'll try and use that guard at some point. You don't have to go behind it, but it will be there for future.
Right. So, Selena, their outfits, do we call them outfits?
Yeah, they're uniforms.
They're
uniforms.
Jackets.
Yeah.
So some of them are wearing shirts and some jackets. Does it just depend on the sponsor preference? Or
No, most teams will look for sponsorship. Some function with little or no sponsorship, but you do need that. You travel around to tournaments and there's entry fees and lots of things. See, broom heads cost money and brooms and shoes and pants.
Yeah.
So there is fundraising, so you'll display your sponsors on your team jackets. It's much like any other sports team. You feel like a team if you're all wearing the same thing.
Yes.
But the reason that they're just in T-shirts, usually you'll just have matching T-shirts and jackets. If you're warm, you take the jacket off.
Yes.
That's the only.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would only have T-shirts.
Yeah.
You might get a little chilly.
Yeah.
So a hit and roll there made from Erin Carmody. Blue sits 1, but you can't really ignore those yellow stones that are in the 12-foot. Brothers throwing yellow has hammer, and that blue stone that's shot is wide open. So they're going to hit second shot. So the idea here for Team Jones would be to always sit 2, to have 2 counters. And for Team Brothers, they're going to try and maneuver it so that they can maybe make their way toward the center and get rid of that center stone. And here they might have a chance as this one's over curling. And kind of bumps into the side of the blue. Makes it a little more difficult double. So I think we'll see Jill just call the hit and roll in front. There are natural angles for doubles to be made, and this is not one of them. these rocks are almost at the same height, so you can imagine bouncing off one into the other might actually spring the shooter up and out of the rings. So they're just going to play the hit and roll. This one looks pretty good to me. They're not sweeping too much, so it makes me think that it's going to make the shot. Rolled in front of the blue. It's a good shot.
That's good, eh?
Yeah, and Team Jones, they don't need to mess around with that yellow at the top 8 foot.
Right.
They can handle giving up 2 points, and Brothers is kind of counting on that Jones will, you know, not make any crazy crazy shots because they don't need to. They're up 4, and they'll be happy to be up 2 with hammers. So for Team Brothers, it's just be patient, get your 2 points here. Kim will hit the open stone. And then we'll probably see Jill make a play in those center rocks.
So, Selena, you were saying, is it 6 teams or 8 teams that are in this tournament?
8 teams. 2 of them qualified by virtue of their standings through the regular season.
Right.
And then 6 of them, including Team Jones, qualified at an event in Windsor in December.
Oh, okay. So is it kind of like a round robin? Like, do they play every team, or?
It is a round robin, and look at where that stone's ending up there from Kim Kelly. They almost missed the line call on that. Had a little panic sweep at the end. And that rock rolled to the back 4, so I don't know if Jill can actually get at it. She's going to have to make a play on the top yellow. But does it just go straight into the back, or can you hit it in such a way that the 2 blues will be removed? I think if she can hit the Yellowstone just high, so on the broom side of nose, she'll get some action on both blues.
I don't know curling very much, but that looks like that'd be a tricky shot.
Oh, it certainly is tricky, yeah. That's the whole point.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? Set it up that way.
So trying to make something happen with the 2 blue stones in the 4 foot. Down 4, Team Brothers really needs to make something happen here in the 5th end. Like to put a couple points on the board.
Yeah, that would be nice.
We'd like to keep this one just on the high side of the Yellowstone. If it overcurls too much, that yellow will spring out the back. So that turned out pretty well. Blue still sits 1 is the only problem.
Yeah, got
Trying to hit that a little higher. But improves her chances of scoring.
Well, so how many more rocks do they have left, Selena?
1 each. So Kim is throwing her last rock now. She's going to hit this yellow stone and hopefully sit on the nose to sit 2. If she rolls out, then Jill will have an easy shot for 2. So she's just trying to hit this yellow on the nose. They're sweeping to keep it straight. Doesn't really need to curl. But since they have the opportunity, why not make the hit and roll perfectly? Now there is a shot for Jill. I don't know if she's going to like it. She noses. If she hits that yellow right in the middle with enough weight, it's risky.
I'll hit the blue too.
It will go into the blue and it will redirect onto the other blue.
No pressure,
Straight
Jill.
back and then over to the side. And that's how she can score 2 points here. But if you hit it too high, like too much on the right-hand side, punch it through the hole, you give up a steal of 2, and not a good situation. But it is kind of, I want to say, do or die. She can still take her 1 point as well. You just don't really like being down 3 with 5 ends to go. Jill throws the up weight really nicely, so I think probably not the easiest decision. It's a risky shot, but she can certainly make it.
Well, let's do this, Jill. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what they decided on or if they're just playing the straight draw. She can draw to the 4 foot or tap the yellow stone up for a single point. I think we'll see what she's throwing as soon as she starts to deliver. We didn't hear them give the call.
Yeah, we can hear some other action going on in the different, what did you call them, different pads?
The different sheets?
Sheets.
Yeah.
I'll get this curling terminology down.
So last rock. Yeah, I think it's too much ice for the run. So she's just playing the draw for a single. And I think it was kind of an either or, like maybe the tap, because now they've had to wait for the line, but they'll try and direct this right into the 4 foot. They got to grab a piece of the button. Not an easy shot, and looks like it was made. I'm going to say it was made perfectly. What a shot.
Yeah, that was impressive. Good call, Jill.
I can only guess because it looks like I can see more red 4 foot on the outside of the yellow stones. They kicked the rocks away. They've decided. Didn't have to go to a measure. I'm going to say that was 1 for brothers. And if I was wrong, then I will update you after we get back from the 5th end break. But for now, thanks for joining us on Bell 5 TV 1 here at the Scotties, and we'll catch you back in 5.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Oh.
Welcome back, folks, to the 2018 Nova Scotia Provincial Curling Championships, the Scotties Tournament of Hearts here in Nova Scotia. In beautiful Dartmouth City of Lakes. We're at the Dartmouth Curling Club on Canal Street. My name is Selena Thompson, if you didn't know, and I'm joined by Amy Muir. Thanks for coming out and asking all the questions that the viewers really want to ask, but they can't because they're watching on Bell 5 TV1. I think I did a good job tying our wonderful broadcaster in there.
Yes, thank you so much. My pleasure. I'm glad to be able to come out and learn a little bit about these tournaments and curling and whatnot. And yeah, there's some good entertainment going on here.
Yeah, the curlers sure know how to put on a show. And we've got 4 sheets of action from now. We actually started yesterday until Friday with the men's and women's events, the Deloitte Tankard and the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. All the other games, well, ours is the only game in the 6th end here. All 8 teams are playing right now. 2 of the games are on 5th end breaks. That's La Douceur and McDermott. La Douceur leads. McDermott, they lead either 5-2 or 5-3. I think McDermott scored 1 or 2 that last end. And we've got Arsenault and Breen on a break. They're tied after 5 at 3 points apiece. And then in the 5th end, we still have Julie McAvoy throwing her last stone, I believe her last stone, against Colleen Pinckney, or we're down to skips rocks at least, and McAvoy leads 3-2. So, coming back to our game, Brothers Jones. Jones with a big, solid score of 2 in the 2nd, unexpected steal of 2 in the 3rd, and then Brothers blanked the 4th and scored 1 in 5. Really beautiful shot to even score that 1. They've definitely been struggling a bit more than the Jones team, just with, I would call them kind of like half shots, like not making them perfectly, maybe just struggling, have a couple rubs off guards. Things are curling a little more than these teams are expecting. So we'd like to see them, I'm sure they'd like to see too, pick up the pace and put a couple good ends together here and erase that 3-point deficit. But for now, Team Jones has Hammer with the lead and Nancy Delahunt throwing.
But in curling, a difference of 3 isn't really that much, is it? Like,
yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot, but you very rarely see big, huge ends scored in curling. It'll usually only be 1 or 2 a game where you would have 3 or more points in any given end. And Nancy's making that tick shot really nicely. She can't remove the yellow stone, but she can bump it around. And she actually bumped it and rolled for a corner. So a really nice shot, Nancy Delahunt.
yes.
Yeah, 3-point deficit doesn't seem like a lot, but when you look at who has last rock right now, which is Jones, the team with Hammer typically scores. And if you are following the scores online or you're here and you can look across the sheet, you really do see mostly 1 point scored. So no big separation between the ends on the scoreboard. So for the most part, you're really only going to score 1 or 2 in an end. And so that 3 points, and then the hammer goes back to the other team if you score. So really, it does become hard to erase a 3-point deficit. It wouldn't be such a big deal if Brothers had hammer, but they don't. Jones has hammer. So the likely team to score this end, without knowing anything else, is Team Jones, just because they have last rock. So we're on to second stones. Mary Sue Radford.
And we have lots of room down here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. Come on down, check us out. There's some indoor seating as well as some viewing areas upstairs. So come and check out this entertainment.
Yeah, you've got the best view in the house, I think, upstairs. That's where I like to be.
I'm thinking so. Although it would be great to hear what they were saying.
Yeah, there is seating out on the ice. We got a few brave souls out there, even more than before. So maybe some of you listened to me and showed up.
Well, it is a beautiful day to get out here and, yeah, come and check out some curling.
So Sarah Murphy here, throwing in 6. And both teams have lots of time. We did run into the earlier game on this sheet. Both teams had less than half their time at the halfway point. Sarah's just over curled there. Doesn't actually remove either of the blue stones, and shooter will roll out. So I think they're just struggling either with it. I couldn't tell if she threw that tight or if it's a struggle of where to put the broom.
She didn't look too pleased with that shot, but you never know, right?
No, and there's a number of different ways. And there's always different ways to make a shot and different ways to miss a shot. So in that case, it could have over curled because the broom was in the wrong place, or Sarah could have thrown it not like she typically does and just had it curl a bit more. It's very sensitive to release. You see Mary Sue, as a player releases, they put the turn on the rock, and what that does is actually keeps the rock straight for a fair amount of the time, but it also gets the curl. So
right.
There's 2 parts to that, and Mary Sue just wicks the guard. Actually moves that yellow over to be a center guard, so it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But Team Jones doesn't really want anything clogging up the center. They were trying to hit the shot stone, and that one just over curled.
Okay, I was wondering what happened there.
Yeah, so Jill has a chance now to ask Aaron to make a play on the shot stone. So once they're by the guard, they stop sweeping because they have to hit this fairly thick. They don't want to group those yellow stones too much. So they're fairly close to each other, but it was not really avoidable. There's not a great double on those yellows. If you tried to hit the left-hand side one first and then the center one, you'd run the center one into the blue. So they're just going to, Nancy's going to ask Colleen to hit this yellow and try and roll in behind the center guard. We can't see on that one view, but we can see it here. There's a bit of a panic sweep. They want to make sure they get this roll. And just jumped on them a little bit. They don't get the roll. Jill asking Aaron to make this hit and roll behind the guard, so now they're going to try and use it. That's why I said Team Jones doesn't really want the guards out front. They do have last rock, so their ability to score is good. The 4-foot's open, so Team Brothers really just wants to sit a couple. And if this shot's made, they won't even sit 2, but if they can keep 1 stone behind cover, that's good. This one is hanging wide. I don't think they'll get the roll. Actually hit it on the high side. So not great.
I was thinking that, but I didn't know. I
you
wasn't
were right.
positive.
You're picking up. You're picking up on it. It's hard to ignore. So blue is shot right now. It's hard to ignore those yellow stones. Nancy could call a peel on that center guard as well, but then of course you leave a couple yellow stones in the rings, and then Jill hits the blue and sits 3. You don't love facing a whole bunch of points when you're coming down to skip stones. So they're just going to have a discussion. They have lots of time to discuss.
So that's Jones coming down here just to meet with her teammates and figure things out.
Yeah, they're usually on the same page. If these two have curled together for so long that I think either of them could call the shots for each other, but Colleen's the skipper normally. So they just want to talk about where they're going to hit the rock, where the shooter should go. Are they trying to make the double, or are they trying to make the hit and roll? You can make a double on those yellows, but you leave your shooter sitting exposed, or you can play the hit and roll and try and roll behind the center.
What do you think they're going to do?
Well, I think Colleen would probably be tempted to play the double.
You've seen her play quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, she's very defensive. So lots of hits. And so they were going for the roll on that one. And got it most of the way. The yellow, I don't know who shot, actually. Might be blue. It's hard to tell. In trying to make that roll, the way they had to hit the two yellows actually sprung the top yellow off of the back one and into this 4-foot area. The blue stone's partly buried, but Jill's going to try and hit it and leave her shooter is inevitably going to roll over toward that yellow. So she might be playing this with more of a down weight, which would be instead of a normal takeout weight, something more like board.
Right.
To try and get more of that blue stone and not roll the shooter over so far. She'd like to kind of surround that 4-foot area with yellow stones. Make it harder for blue to score and more likely that she can steal with her yellow stones.
Wow, that's a lot of sweeping. They've got to be getting exhausted.
They're on this one early. Yeah, it's a long game, the 10 ends for the sweepers. So this one looks like it's going to be on the front. Really needs to be by that. It was tight ice. They were playing that because they knew they had to play it tight. So that was Jill's first shot. They only have one left. And they're in a bit of a position where they have to be aggressive and try and steal. But what happened with wrecking on that guard is that now Kim Kelly can hit that yellow stone and sit 3 blues. And with only 1 yellow remaining, Jill's going to have to make a really good shot in order to prevent Team Jones from scoring 2 or likely even 3. And that's what happens when you have a team that just, you know that the Jones team is going to be playing defensive and the Brothers team has to be aggressive. And if they don't make their shots perfectly, it can be very difficult to force or steal a point.
But when they have the hammer next end, that might be more helpful, correct?
Oh, exactly. It is helpful to have hammer. You just know that normally you have hammer because the other team has scored on you.
Oh, right.
So just looking for the hit here. Didn't really want to roll on this one, but get away with it. So Jill's thinking, it's okay if I give up 2, but I don't want to give up more. There might be a triple on these as well. That's the reason that Kim wanted to roll away. I think if Jill hits almost where Aaron's broom just was, kind of where Jill's is now, you get lucky and go off that back blue. So she's kind of trying to hit this almost in the crotch, but trying to hit the left side one first. So the one to the left of Aaron's broom.
Wow, look at her go backwards. That's impressive.
Talent.
Yeah, that's years of practice sliding around.
It's funny, I always think like, oh, I should be fine on skates because I can curl. It's so different.
It is.
Even like people who skate come onto curling shoes and they put the slider on and they go, oh, it's really slippery. And I was like, well, you do have to slide down the ice with a 40-pound hunk of granite. So
that is true.
All right, so last stone, big weight here, Jill Brothers. Sarah Murphy, Jem Bryan sweeping, Aaron Carmody in the house. Looking to hit the left side one first, hit the right side one first, so didn't get the shot that she was looking for. Shooter stays out front. That's second shot, but if Kim Kelly has her way, she's going to hit it. Score 3 here. And Jill's normally so deadly with that up weight. I think the ice is just a little straighter than she's still expecting with the up weight, but they've had their misses have been on over curls. So what's happening on one shot is not happening on the other shot.
Right.
You see Kim just kind of sigh there. She's just asking whose shot. I kind of said really quickly that that the blue Jonestown is shot, and I didn't look to see if it's also second shot. Oh, they do sit too, so she doesn't even have to hit the yellow. I was thinking that yellow was second shot, and it's definitely not. Blue is second shot. So instead of playing the hit, which there is some risk of over curling and hitting your own, there is a draw available as well.
Right, which might be a good option in this scenario.
Exactly. So they're going to play away from the Yellowstone in order to not disturb it.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what they're doing now.
They're switching things up. She could draw with the out turn or the in turn right where her broom is as well. It really it depends what Kim wants to throw. She's a last rock thrower, and when you have a bunch of options like that, sometimes you don't really want to have to make the call, but just whatever she wants to throw to get that third point. She doesn't have to throw the hit.
Which is kind of nice too, right?
Yeah, there's if your angle is wrong on a hit, it can be much more disastrous than if your angle is wrong on a draw.
Yeah, less risk for sure.
So this is for 3. Already up by 3. Kim Kelly. Super stay down weight, so they're working hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be able to get this one there.
Not looking so, but they are giving it all.
You can drag these rocks pretty far. They're going to get it into the 8 foot. I think they can get it closer than that other blue stone. Oh, it's close. Oh, just not enough. So close. So that'll only be 2 points. The blue is touching the 12 foot. Yeah, you can tell from where it is on the rings.
Right.
So just the 2 points, but that'll be a 6-1 lead that Jones has over Brothers. After 6, Brothers will have Hammer in 7. And what are we looking at on the other sheets? We got McAvoy, Pinckney. McAvoy scored 2 and 5, leads Pinckney 5-2. Arsenault Breen still tied. They are playing the 6th end with 1 rock remaining. Tie game. Arsenault drawing for a single. And McDermott, Ladouceur. Ladouceur leads. I heard it was a crazy shot in the 4th.
Yes.
To score her single for Isabelle Ladouceur, and then a score of 1 in the 5th for Krista McDermott. Ladouceur leads 5-2. And she just threw a rock through in the 6th, so she'll continue to lead 5-2 with Hammer. I'm getting better at doing these updates.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed. I was just going to say that. Wow, Selena, you got this broadcasting thing down pat.
Sometimes you get distracted and you start watching another game and you miss what happens. So that being said,
we're all guilty of that.
Paying attention now, Nancy Delahunt throws lead for Team Jones. And puts this one right in the 4 foot. She's only going to make that mistake once and throw the guard and have to hit her own guard. She did that in the, I think it was the 4th end.
Yeah.
Very consistent curler, one of the nicest people you'll meet.
And who is that again, Selena?
Nancy Delahunt.
Oh, right, yes.
I should say that about all the players on these 2 teams. They're all super friendly. I had Jill sending messages this morning. She was listening to the game that I was commentating this morning and was saying that she was watching. So they're paying attention to the men's games as well. They're all...
Oh, that's good.
Curlers tend to be, I don't know, maybe I'm biased.
Well,
pretty nice
fans.
people. So corner guard from Jen Bryan. And I will mention, just because I heard before the game, our other feature sheet on sheet 3 is Arsen O'Brien. They're tied. And actually, they're not tied anymore. I think Marianne made her shot for 1, so Arsenal will lead 4-3. But the second on Team Breen, Jocelyn Adams, she's celebrating a birthday today, and it's a big birthday. It's number 30.
Happy birthday, Jocelyn.
So if anyone sees her, please wish her a happy birthday. You can see her on sheet C if you switch over, but we'd like to have you here, me and Amy.
Hang out with us at D. That'd be pretty fun on your birthday, playing, you know, this impressive tournament, right?
Exactly. I think she gets to do it every so often. The provincials are with the Scotties in February. The provincials for women's are usually in January. And
right, yeah.
with it being a combined event now, I think we're going to see it in January more and more. That used to be separate. You'd have the men's and the women's separate, but
right. Why do you think that's changed?
Well, the combined event's nice that you can consolidate the organizing, and there's
for sure
the broadcasting is another good example.
And the
really,
fans too,
bring
right?
people together. Yeah. And I say there's the curling community is fairly small, as we just see Mary Sue nose to peel there. So there's a guard for Team Brothers. It's a small community, kind of an everybody knows everybody community, and so you'll have people out cheering. Maybe they're cheering for their women's team, but they know enough people or are friends with and curl often in the men's division.
Right.
So you've got people like Travis and Julia Coulter. They're both competing on the men's and women's side. You've got Kristen and Kirk McDermott, brother and sister.
Oh, that's cool. Are you the only curler in your family? Oh, no, you were saying your brothers?
No.
Your brothers curled too, right?
Yeah, so my two brothers, Kendall and Stuart Thompson, are competing in this event. They're both skips on separate teams.
Oh, wow.
So they were both playing this morning. And both won.
Oh.
It was nice to get to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there's a chance that they could be competing against each other?
Yeah, they actually played against each other yesterday in the round-robin game.
Oh.
And Kendall won in an extra end. It was very intense.
Oh, I can imagine. Were your parents out to watch as well?
Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So our whole family comes to watch. And same thing with like these teams, their family. I see the family members of both these teams out and about. I saw Jill's husband downstairs, and I don't know why his name fails me right now.
Oh, that's all right.
I would have been able to say it if you'd asked me 5 minutes ago, but for some reason it's just escaping my brain. Paul. His name is Paul.
Thanks for coming out, Paul.
I don't see him now, though. He was downstairs trying to look at the people behind the glass.
Yeah,
so Sarah Murphy throwing. They're still playing these come-arounds. Trying to get something going. They rubbed on the front in the other shot, and they're going to rub again here. They're really getting unlucky with those, whether it's just they need a bit more ice and are expecting it to stay straighter. Sweepers can only hold it for so long before the rock is just gone.
Yeah. Selena, do you wear gloves or mitts when you're curling?
I do. Yeah. I wear gloves. I lost them and didn't wear them for the first part of this year, and then I found them in my curling bag of all places.
Oh, go figure, eh? Maybe just the bottom of the
Should
bag.
have just looked in the other pocket. Or no, they were in a bag. I bought broom heads and had my gloves shoved in there.
Yeah, I'm just seeing that some people, like the gloves and some don't, right? So it's just personal preference.
Sweepers tend to, you'll find front end sweepers. So third stone players, they do sweep the first two players' stones, but then they throw and then hold the broom.
Yes.
So they sweep two fewer rocks.
Right.
And so you'll often see leads and seconds wearing gloves just because you get better grip on the broom.
Okay.
Or at least they would say that. Some people wear mittens. If their hands get extra cold, mittens are a good option. Leather mittens are nice because you get the good grip still.
Yeah.
It's a little cold out there. most often see, it's always funny that people, they wear their T-shirts and then they got their gloves on.
Yeah. I just was noticing that it's the juniors, right? I noticed some of those girls had T-shirts on, but then some mitts. That made me actually a bit curious. I'm like, must have something to do with the grip as well.
Because their hands are cold.
Yeah.
No, because they want the grip and their hands are cold and their bodies aren't.
Yeah.
So, interesting end here. We had we had the rub on the guard and then a flash peel from Team Jones. And now a little come around freeze attempt from Erin Carmody for Team Brothers. And that one just hung a little wide, didn't quite curl up enough. So a hit from Colleen here, trying to get up to nose and avoid the back, and just gets her by. So sitting 3 for Team Jones. It is hard, again, I know I mentioned earlier, for Team Brothers to generate offense when you're playing against a team that's just hitting, and they are so good at hitting.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they're bang on, aren't they?
So Jill's got to get access to the 4-foot. You can't score points if you can't be closer than the blue stones. So trying to get a hit, a little bit of action on both blue stones here. Working hard to get it by the guard, and they will.
Ooh.
And didn't actually make contact with the back blue stone, but the shooter rolled to a good spot in the top 12-foot, buried. So we're down to skip stones. And Team Jones is sitting 1. Just trying to listen to them there. They're talking about what they can see from the hack. And it looks like Kim's just going to guard.
That makes sense considering like their lead, right?
Exactly. They have a lead. They don't, there's not really a good hit call on the yellow stone and their shot. So now it's time to lock it down.
So ever, like at the end or like after you're finished the round robin and you're moving on, does it come down to like points score? Like how does...
It's a win-loss record. So it's a round robin, 7 games. There's 8 teams, so every team plays 7 games.
Right.
The top record goes to the final directly on Sunday, and that's at 2 o'clock.
Oh, and here as well?
It's here. Everything's here at Dartmouth Curling Club.
Wow.
And also live on Bell 5 TV1.
For
and
sure.
The second and third place records will go to a semifinal at 7 o'clock on Saturday. That's for the women's.
Okay.
If you're watching the men's as well, the men's semi, same format. The semifinal is Saturday at 2, and the final is Sunday at 9 a.m. So the semifinals, men's at 2, women's at 7 on Saturday, and then the men's final at 9 a.m., women's final at 2 p.m. And if there are tiebreakers, sometimes if multiple teams are tied for any position, but let's say, for example, second and third place, maybe you have a 3-way tie, there will be a tiebreaker played between the bottom 2 teams. I think that's at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. And you can't be eliminated based on your draw to the button, which is your before game practice throw, but it'll determine seeding for any kind of a tiebreaker scenario.
Right. And do you anticipate like big crowds here on the weekend for
it gets pretty busy. The finals will be a packed house.
Yeah.
Get here early.
Mm-hmm.
So Kim made her guard. Jill's going to have to play a run back.
What does run back mean again?
A run back is, again, with the literal terminology, running a stone back into the rings.
Yeah.
So she's hitting this yellow. And they actually got that over-curled, little unlucky to not catch either blue stone. Yeah, just running the yellow stone that was the guard out front, running it back into the situation. She was trying to run it onto the yellow in the top 12, but it over-curled. It really jumped on them. They weren't sweeping, and then they were panic sweeping. So really, again, their misses have all been over-curls. Not much. The only, I say over-curls, the only one that was the big under-curl led to that steal of 3. Or sorry, steal of 2 in the third.
Right.
Other than that, it's been over curls for Team Brothers. So that could be likely is going to just be catching the curl earlier on the sweep calls or just moving the broom too. You can give a little bit extra ice. Of course, you aim at the broom when it's finally placed down, but where the rock ends up is always different. So to draw to the center of the rings, you'll actually aim at the side, and that nice rotation put on the rock causes it to curl. So another guard put up there, Kim Kelly.
Yeah.
Just blocking things off again, protecting. But that one came a little deep. I think there is still a shot for Jill. You can see the yellow stone is exposed. Have to see what she can see from the hack.
Yeah.
I kind of see Sarah Murphy laughing. I don't think she can see much. Right, these guys are going to take a timeout and have the front end come down, take a look. Sarah Rhino, or sorry, Sarah, she's not Sarah Rhino anymore. She was Sarah Rhino.
She was, yes.
She's Sarah Murphy. She actually played with, who did she play with when she won? With Jen Brine. Yeah, when they won in 2006, they were teammates. I just wanted to make sure. And they came third at Nationals that year.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, okay, sorry. So I'm just making sure I'm giving everybody the right information. Yeah, so Sarah and Jen, front end now on Team Brothers, but Sarah used to skip and is now a nice second rock thrower on Team Brothers. And so they'll come down, have a chat. I mean, they both know the game. They've played 22 and 24 years for Jen and Sarah, respectively. So they've been through it all, and especially with Sarah having that junior skipping experience. It's a valued opinion on the team. You just can't have a team conference on every shot.
Right.
So you save them for the big ones like this.
Oh, of course.
So there is a chance for two. It's not an easy one for Jill. She's just looking at the run. It'll be an angle run back on this side yellow. You don't want to run any blue stones into the rings, but you can run your own color in and hopefully stick it on the blue that's in the forefoot. So if you hit right where Jill's broom is, you can sort of see that yellow rock. And I'm pointing at the screen, of course.
Oh, there you are.
And you can run it into that blue in the top forefoot. That's how you score your 2 points.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're ready to go here.
Sure, this is a big shot. They're down 5. And I think to give up another steal, even if it's of a single, is not acceptable for them. So this is a huge shot here for Jill. Last shot, 7th end. Run back for 2. They actually hit the wrong stone and ran it into their own. Didn't get lucky enough to spill in, so it'll be a steal of 1 for Team Jones. And that'll be a 7-1 lead after 7 ends.
That's a tough one.
I'm just going to look across and see what's happening. So McAvoy, big steal in 6, steal of 3 against Team Pinckney. They'll lead 8-2, playing the 7th. Arsenault playing Breen. I mentioned it was a score of 1 for Arsenault in 6. They lead 4-3. And McDermott Ladouceur, score of 2 in the 7th for Krista McDermott. Still trails, but only by a single point to Isabel Ladouceur, 5-4.
Wow, that's a close one, eh?
And they're playing 8.
Oh, juniors play 8?
No, sorry, they're playing N8. Yeah.
Oh, N8,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, but the juniors, they in their provincials, they also play 10 ends, and it's 10 ends here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't give them any breaks just because they're younger.
They actually can probably handle the
games
10.
used to be, you would have hated this, like 15 ends. It was crazy years and years ago.
This would be some long games.
So the big lead, Nancy Delahunt starts us off. I said she's only going to make that mistake once in the game, but she's coming up a little light on this one too. Doesn't quite make the rings.
She just said, "Oh, I'm sorry." Hey, it happens.
Yeah, these you gotta have with curling. You have to, it's like water off a duck's back. You really do have to park your misses and move on.
Yeah, of course.
And just because you're struggling in a game doesn't mean that you're not a worthy team. There's certainly looks like Team Jones has a little bit better handle on the ice than Team Brothers. Maybe just broom in the wrong place is kind of what I'm thinking. They've just wrecked on so many guards. Has to be something. So now Nancy will do that. Least favorite thing to do is remove their own stone from play. Nancy makes sure to throw this one with lots of rotation, so even if she does come up close to nose, which this one is, it's going to get a little bit of a bounce. Looks like there's still room to come around the corner guard, or actually probably even throw a second corner guard for Jen Bryan. They'll start coming around those later. And they're trying to even these guards up to make them pretty flat with each other, so there's no way to hit one and redirect onto the other yellow. Those are fairly even.
Yeah, I was just going to actually ask you that. I'm like, was that what they were planning to do? Like, that's a good shot?
Very good shot.
Yeah.
Nancy's just saying that there's risk of running this yellow when Mary Sue, of course they're going to play the peel, but if she plays the one turn, the in turn, which is on the other side,
right,
there's risk of running it into the blue. So that's the reason for the switch and turn, playing inside out. I suspect Mary Sue, I don't know for sure, but I suspect she prefers the other two turns, and Nancy's trying to give her that. But sometimes you got to suck it up and throw the turn that is going to make the shot. So this one looks pretty good to me. You get that nice action when the rocks hit. The shooter bounces and goes out of place, so that's a peel made.
So after this game, will another ladies group be playing, or is it the men's?
The men's are at 4 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because of the format, it's an 8-team round robin for each tournament, and all teams are out on the ice at the same time. You got 4 games, 2 per game. That's all your 8 teams. These are your provincial competitors. Yeah, we don't want to see them play back-to-back.
Right,
10 ends are a long game,
oh,
and
yeah.
2 10-end games in one day is a lot. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Separate them. And so tomorrow it'll be at 9, 2, and 7, and it'll be the men that have the 2-game day.
Okay.
They'll play at 9 and 7, and the women will play at 2 o'clock. They had their 2-game day yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And today.
Right, yeah.
Tuesday, Thursday is 3 games, and Wednesday, Friday there's 4 draws. So another peel, Team Jones, and it's really coming down. Team Brothers needs those guards, so they're going to play another one. They could have come around. I like the guard call.
It seems pretty safe.
Yeah, it is, and when you do need those guards, it's tempting to go into the rings early, but then, you know, there's always that saying, you bring the play into the rings early and you give the other team chances to make doubles because the rocks are going to be closer together.
Right.
In this case, though, the natural way to play this peel is with this turn. They're not calling it, but there is a chance for the double peel here as well. So they're going to sweep it for the double peel, but I think it's just going to roll over. Might get the second one. It does make contact. So that's a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
Leaves one guard out front, so Aaron can try that come around. So they're deciding on mate stones is the time that they're going to make the move into the rings. They're working really hard just to get this one into the rings. It's by the guard. And will they get it there? Oh, they do.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Great
a good
sweep.
sweeping. Yeah.
Give your front end a pat on the back for that. Colleen throwing the peel there. Just straighten that out a little bit. Doesn't make too much contact with the guards, so it actually didn't move it enough to push it off. Don't know if she just threw that straight or the broom was in the wrong place. In any case, chance for Team Brothers to make this come around again. Aaron made it well on the first one. I think sweepers are saying it's a little bit heavier than the last. So they were going to sweep it to get it around that top 12-foot stone. Trying to get a piece of this buried under the other yellow. Maybe get a tiny piece under. Yeah, it's back 4 foot. You're definitely going to be a tiny bit exposed. It's very hard to bury a stone around a rock in the top 12 foot.
She doesn't look as heavy as I would, but but I don't
Well, it's because they are losing by 6 points.
Yeah, that's true. True that.
Yeah, and it's really hard. The other team is making their shots. You see a tiny window, like a missed peel there, and you really want to make that. It's such a hard shot to bury that. And Aaron had the great weight, and just the line didn't quite work perfectly for her.
Right.
So Kim Kelly here on her first of 2 in the 8th. They're trying to hit the back one. This one's taken off. Right there on the front. So they're happy as long as it removes either of those yellow stones, which it does. That one curled much more than Colleen's, and just heard Kim saying, Nancy, I gave that a start. So she's well aware of what she does when she throws. To start a rock is to actually cause it to over curl. It's almost like you push it in the direction that you want it to curl, but the way we hold the broom is designed to let you just throw the rock and not have to, get it going. So she just gave that a little nudge over.
Yeah.
Helped it curl. So Jill's playing the come around. Looks like a pretty good shot if it stops in the top house. just coming a little deep. Almost even with that yellow. Now, is there a double on the yellows? It's flat. And she could go underneath, but I mean, you just want to, if you're Team Jones, you're in the 8th. If you gave up even 2 points here, you're still up 7-3. So just hit the one that's open. And I think that's what the sweepers would be telling Kim as she goes to throw. You don't need to fuss about making the double, just make that one go away.
It's got some speed to it.
All right, here it comes into the rings. And she gets the hit and the roll. That's a great shot. It's going to be hard for Jill to even score the 2 here now. Didn't need to make the double, just needed to make that one go away. But with a good roll over, Jill's going to have to try and play probably a backline weight draw tap shot here. I know that sounds very complicated. All she's going to try and do is play the draw down to that blue stone and have enough weight to actually tap it back to bring that second yellow. So the shot stone will sit 1, and she's going to try and bring that second yellow into a scoring stone by removing the blue.
You make it sound so easy. But
well, you just put the broom down where it needs to go and throw the weight, and you should make the shot every time. It's that easy.
Well, let's see what she's got here.
Last rock 8 then, Jill Brothers. Facing 1, looking for 2. Needs a tap back. This one is moving a lot more than her first. They're sweeping really hard to get it by. They got it by. Now needs to hit it enough. And a beautiful shot for the 2 points.
Good job there.
I can't believe sweepers got that by the guard. What a great shot.
It was close, but it was good.
So hanging in there. It's 7-3. Jones now hammer in 9. So Team Brothers, steal 2, steal 2. Think they can do it?
I don't know. If they give it at all, there's a good chance. We have to be optimistic.
You do have to be very optimistic to play this game.
Well, I think anything can happen, right?
They're getting ready to throw. I think Erin just ran away. We'll go with 1 sweeper for the shot. She's not leaving the game, just taking a little break. We do have a final. If you're paying attention, McAvoy, Pinckney. McAvoy took that one. Forced Pinckney to a single in the 7th, but led 8-3. And Teresa Breen scored one in the 7th to tie it up with Marianne Arsenault.
That's close.
They're all tied. That's our other feature sheet that is on Bell 5 TV 1. Dan and Karen have the call over there, and I'm sure they're directing you to come pay attention to us over here. So Team Brothers needs to steal, put a center guard up. I think Nancy's going for the tick shot. This was famously called the Weagle for, I think some people still call it the Weagle. Lisa Weagle, of course, headed to the Olympics for Team Canada, part of the Homan rink out of Ottawa, and she made this shot more than you can even imagine. The tick shot is a hard shot. It's a shot only leads can play. It's when you do not want a guard in play. but because of the 4-rock rule, you can't remove it, so you just bump it.
Right.
And it's very delicate. You play a backline weight, maybe hack, just hit the side. Really only like a maximum a fifth of the stone. Can't remove it from play, but push it over, and she was successful in that. So the yellow stone is the brother's stone over on the side 12-foot, and that's not in a very good position to steal. So Jen's putting the second guard in play here. Sweeper's waiting to sweep it. They don't want to sweep it too early and cause it to go in the rings. So
Right.
a bit of a scrub at the end, but pretty much Jen does it on her own. So Nancy will try and do it again. So just changing the call here. Actually like this switch. The tick is a good shot as well, but they're aware that that blue might get in their way. So if you can't guarantee that you're going to make the tick shot twice, just peel out your own. You're allowed to do that. And you may wonder why they're not hitting the one in the rings. Well, it's not as critical to their ability to score as the one out front is. But not that often do you see a team ignoring an open stone and hitting a guard.
Is that because of the lead, or?
Definitely because of the lead, yeah. You're up 4 points. You can give up a steal of 1.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't really give up a steal of 2 or, heaven forbid, 3. They're just discussing which turn to throw. I think I like the out turn on this. You play the out turn. If you're a little wide, you can get the double peel, but if you're a little wide, you can actually run this into the back or the side 12-foot Yellowstone. But primary objective is to just lose this top Yellowstone and lose your shooter.
It is delayed by quite a bit. I missed it by 5.
So just a single peel made.
There's no delay there.
That works.
Yeah, no panic for either team. Team brothers know what they have to do. They have to put up some guards and get a stone in a really good position.
Yeah.
Team Jones is going to hit their way out of this one.
That's looking good.
Nice come around there from Sarah Murphy. The peel being played there. Mary Sue makes it. And so Erin's just going to replace the guard. That stone from Sarah, her last shot, Sarah Murphy on the right-hand side there, her shot's right just in front of the button or mostly on top of it. And is in really good steal position if they can keep putting the center guard up. They do want to steal 2 though, so they might actually bring a third stone just into the rings eventually.
Oh, that's a
Maybe
good
on
guard
skip
there.
stones, and if you can put a third one in the top 12. You force Kim Kelly to try and throw some sort of a up weight. You might get your steal of 2. But for now, Team Jones is happy to peel. And they're just waiting to maybe run that stone into the side there. You're always kind of hopeful. You don't call it. Of course, the primary objective is just to do the peel. If you try and call anything fancy, sometimes you can end up missing. But in that case, you're always just watching and hoping for the bonus hit. So the guard put back up. We'll see another peel.
Were they just planning on being the guard, or were they hoping to get it into?
I think it was just the guard was the call. I don't think you would bring this into the house anytime. I really think it's just going to be on Jill's last if they do bring it into the rings.
Right.
Just think because they're down 4 with 2 ends to go, they really would love to steal 2.
Of course.
I think you need to sit 3 to do that. We may get that little double here, though. Nope, goes underneath.
Do you ever bump into the people on the
Sometimes on the other sheets?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no barrier between the sheets. It's just a line underneath the ice. It would be a little too complicated to try and control the humidity and temperature and ice.
That's true.
Ice surface if you had barricades. So yeah, the sidelines are out. The nice thing is usually your play is contained within, within the borders, especially traveling down the sheet. The rocks don't go that wide, but sometimes, you find if the appeal is being made or something upweight, you'll get rocks that will fly onto the other sheets.
Right, yeah.
Again, it goes to kind of the spirit of the game and being a polite sports person and trying not to let that happen. So keeping tabs on what's going to happen with the rocks.
Yeah.
Just stopping them before they go onto the other sheet. But it happens sometimes, and sometimes people will collide, It's not a contact sport.
Yeah.
So just make the peel.
She just said we're going to make the peel. Don't want to scare you or something. Did she say that?
I was tempted, so she's tempted to go after one of the ones in the rings, but I think she knows if she made any of those crazy calls and came down, Mary Sue and Colleen would tell her to take her crazy pants off, just make the peel. Now they are looking to make this double off the side here.
Oh.
Just underneath.
That was close.
Poor Nancy Delhunt's going to get whiplash. Going, oh, shoot, every time. So there we go. There's the call for Jill. It's her last shot. She has to bring this one into the rings to have a chance to steal 2. If this is just a guard, Kim will just hit the outside one. Kim will give up a steal 1.
Right.
So you have to sit 2, or sit 3. Force Kim to make the hit. Try the double, and if she misses, you can get your 2. You steal a 2, and that's how you do it.
Okay, let's see it.
It's always interesting with curling, or maybe it's just me that thinks this all the time, but I think it becomes the most interesting, this game, when you know exactly what the other team is going to do. You know that Team Jones will be defensive. They're going to peel and hit. You know the Team Brothers needs points. So this, 4 rocks ago, you can kind of predict this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's the strategy they're going to go to.
I mean, sometimes it's fun when you don't know what they're going to do, but
Yeah.
it's almost
Pretty
more
predictable.
fun when someone's, teams are each forced into their respective corners. The team that's up can't afford to take chances, and the team that isn't up can. Now this one's coming a little deep, so they were sweeping it in order to keep the line and keep it right in front. There's probably a real difficult triple here. You don't need to make it, just have to make 2 of those yellows go away. And actually, what I think that they might do, you don't need to do anything crazy. What if you just hit that one on the nose, right? Like Nancy's saying there. Yeah, you give up a steal of 1, but then you come home up 3 with hammer, and I hear Colleen, who is not calling the game but is the skip of this team, saying just nose it. And so I think that's going to be the call. You don't need to be fancy.
Right. Just
Concede your 1. Hit it on the nose. If I had told Kim Kelly at the beginning of this game that she would have a chance to go into the 10th and up 3 with hammer, would you take it? And I think she would say yes. So she should play this shot. They're just cleaning, so it looks pretty good.
wow.
And that's what the call was, and that's shot made. So there was a chance to steal the 2. Just came a little deep on Jill's last, and a smart play there from Team Jones to concede the single point. So they'll lead 7-4 with hammer playing 10, our last end. We're almost there. You've almost made it, Amy. Have you learned a little bit about curling so far?
Yes. Yeah. A little overwhelmed. But yeah, it's definitely very interesting and an exciting tournament to be a part of. So.
Well, if we've gotten maybe a new slightly curling fan out of this, then I think it's well worth it.
Well, I think I've been considering it over the years. It seems quite technical, maybe more than what I thought. I thought maybe it was a bit easier than what it is, but
that's what everybody says. It's
yeah.
harder than it looks.
Yeah, I'm thinking so now. Yeah, for sure. I even at one point had purchased some curling shoes, so I was going to do the curling thing, and then I slipped down the stairs. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be playing this season. So.
Ice is even more slippery than stairs.
Yeah. So I'm like, maybe it's not for me.
But you have a gripper foot, too.
That is true.
So it's not all slider.
Yeah, which may help. Should probably wear them all the time. Prevent slipping.
So Team Brothers stole 1 in 9, but they are down 3. They need to steal 3. So these ends become, like I was saying earlier, very straightforward. Team Brothers will put up the guard, put up another guard, and we'll just need Team Jones on the defense. Nancy's probably going to try this tick. She could just throw a rock through as well, but you try and play the tick. You can throw enough weight that your rock will go through. If you miss the tick, then you just have thrown your rock through anyway.
Right.
So you may as well try it.
It's worth it. Yeah, worth a try.
You just don't really want to nose tap them into the button and then leave them a guard.
True that.
And I won't knock on wood. I don't prescribe to that, but they throw enough weight that you'll be okay. So just going to get a piece of this, maybe. So she got her. Shooter rolls in. It did tick it off to the side a little bit. Didn't push it too far over, but still a good result. Opens up that button.
So really, they could end in a tie, right? Like, is that what happens?
Yeah, it could end in a tie, and then it would go to an extra end. So instead of extra time, it's an extra end.
Okay.
So you never play anything where you don't throw all the rocks.
Right.
But right now, it's just going to be Team Jones trying to run Brothers out of rocks. So as long as they can hit 6 of the 8 blue stones out of play, they'll have won the game. And you will see handshakes if that happens before all of the stones are thrown.
Oh, really?
That'd be the only instance you would never finish a whole game or whole end if someone concedes early. And that is what happened, like on the Pinckney-McAvoy sheet.
Right.
Pinckney shook after only scoring 1 in the 7th. They were down 5 without.
Right.
And that's a really hard deficit to come up from.
Well, that makes sense.
So Nancy's trying to tick again here. I don't know if she made contact. No, that one just skims by. So now they want to make sure this one's through the rings. It's not really helping them if it's still in.
Bye.
And that's how you throw the tick shot. Because any stone in the rings, when you're up that many points and your opponent is desperately trying to get something to work for them, they'll use your rocks against you. They'll tap them back and use them as, it's almost like reverse guards when they're at the back of the rings.
Huh.
So better to have that one go through.
Yes.
And then they can start peeling on the next shot. So if you can count it, there's 3 yellow stones. This is the 3rd yellow stone being played. And they have to make 3 of them count. So there's 5 hits coming. And actually 6, because you have to eliminate 6 of 8 stones to win if you're up by 3. So 6 hits in a row here from Team Jones. And I would bet, I don't even know how much money, that there will be 6 hits played. Actually, I shouldn't say 6. Maybe there's a double made. It's only 5. But all hits.
I won't challenge you on the math. It's all good. So, Selena, will all games be televised on Belvide?
Only sheets C and D, but yes, every draw. Every draw, there's 4 games for the men's and women's, and sheets C and D. So if you're on nscurl.com and you see your teams on sheet C or D, just click the link on the NS Curl website for Bell 5, and you'll be able to watch and listen.
That's
or
wonderful.
You can mute us.
Yeah, well, that's true.
You can mute us, too.
If you choose to, that's understandable.
I joke, but it happens. I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, oh, yeah, I was watching the game. And I said, oh, did you hear? You know, it was a new commentator. Oh, no, I had it on mute. I said, oh, great. Sometimes people are at work and watching, and they need to keep it quiet.
That is true.
So there's hit number 2. Another guard.
Do sweepers usually have like, do they need to get new sticks, or do they use the same one? Like, do they have a favorite, or?
No, it's actually interesting. So the broom heads that you see, they're kind of yellow in color, except the one that Aaron's throwing with. There was a big, I don't know if it was Broomgate 2015 or what it was, but curlers started to discover that certain materials on broom heads would affect the rocks differently, and there were certain ones that worked better than others. So now there is a moratorium on broom heads, and there is one approved material, which is that yellow color.
Okay.
And you are not allowed to change that during the game. So when you start with a broom during your game, that's your broom for the game. You cannot switch.
Okay.
So it used to be the players would switch. They would have one type of broom if they wanted to do one thing, and another type of broom to do another. And it got very complicated, and
seems
it was kind of funny. It was almost that the players were like too good. Like, you could turn a poorly thrown shot. There was our 3rd hit, poorly thrown shot into a made shot, and largely due to the effectiveness of the broom heads. So what these have done is kind of equalize things. They're not as effective as the other type of material, but you have to use it. So you know, sweeping is still effective. It is more effective. I would argue now it's more effective for dragging a rock further, so for distance, versus curl.
Oh, gotcha.
I think that's the biggest difference. So you still get the friction, you're warming up the surface, but it doesn't keep the rock as straight or get it to curl as much. So long answer to your question is no, you cannot switch. You absolutely cannot. The only time you're allowed to use a different broom, as Aaron's rock just is heavy there, the only time you're allowed to use a different broom, like she's doing, is when you're throwing. So you may have a preferred throwing device. You could use a broom that has a non-approved broom head. You will have people throw with old corn brooms sometimes.
Really?
Yep, you can't dirty the ice. And you'll see people throw with stabilizers. So,
Oh, yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, like a plastic or a wooden device that's used to balance you and keep your body square. So I lost track. I think that's
Sorry.
hit number 4.
Yes.
But what I think, because Aaron's rock was deep there, there's not enough of a chance to score the 3 points, so that'll be
Right.
handshakes. So we'll call this one. That's a win for Team Jones. It'll be a 7-4 final. They didn't finish the 10th end. And so if you're going to swap over, you can go watch the 10th end of Arsenault Breen. Breen down 1 with Hammer, playing 10. Thanks, Amy Muir. Thanks for joining us on behalf of the organizing committee for the Deloitte Tankard and the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Thank you for joining us on Bell 5 TV1, and we'll catch you back at 4 o'clock, where you can find Murphy versus Power or Dacey versus Kay Thompson in the men's division.
Well, great. Thank you so much. Take care.